Okay, so we are going to get started. For today, we want to have 2 blocks, a blanket, and a strap. And then once you have all your fun props, you are going to set your blocks off to the right and to the left. We'll put our strap somewhere near the top of our space, and our blanket can just go off to one of the sides for now. I'm going to go ahead and make sure everyone's muted. Fantastic. And then once you've got all that done, you're going to turn your back to the top of your space and lie down on your back. So Sandy, turn around. There you go. And then when you're on your back, let's go ahead and bend your knees, plant your feet firmly on the floor. Allow your legs to open out right to left. And then you've got your blocks. So if you want to put your blocks to support the outer knees as you come into Supta Baddha Konasana, that might feel super nice. You might choose to just allow your legs to fall into gravity. You choose what feels best for you. And then once you sorted out the prop situation, I want you to bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. And then go ahead and adjust your arms so it feels like you don't have to hold them there, that the arms are just kind of resting onto the floor, they're resting onto the body. And then notice if you need to fidget around the shoulders or the head at all. And then we'll take 3 deep breaths here. And you'll just let the breath be a big breath in through the nose and an audible breath out through the mouth. And as you take these next 2 breath cycles, you're just allowing more of the body to create space as you breathe in, and then allowing the body to release as you breathe out. At the end of this next exhalation, gently close your lips if your mouth has been open, and just continue to breathe in and out through your nose. Again, the inhalation is creating space, maybe releasing any tension. And then the exhale is also deepening that release, allowing more ease within the body. So our practice today, we're going to focus a lot on targeting the hips, the back. We're going to focus on grounding ourselves. I've been taking this class on repeat by Nicole Gordon. She has like maybe, I don't know, 7 poses or something that are supposed to help whenever there are disturbances in our sleep. And I've just found that in a weird way, the practice is kind of energizing. So we're going to start very slow. We're going to work very gently, and you might feel relaxed. You might feel tired. That's okay. You might also feel energized. That's okay too. On these next 2 breaths, notice where you can start to find a little bit more breath in the inhale and a little bit more breath out on the exhale. And then as you're ready, you'll start to bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs. Close your knees together like a book and bring your feet back to the floor. Just take a moment to pause here with the feet hip distance apart and feeling what that feels like. And then go ahead and draw one knee into your chest and draw the other knee into the chest. You might choose to just rock a little bit right to left. You might choose to be completely still, but you're just noticing how the body is feeling. And those that are in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. Release just your left foot to the floor. Keep pulling the right knee in. And take a few ankle circles here, rolling that right ankle, feeling how big of a circle you can make, how smooth of a circle you can make. Go ahead and pause and switch directions. And then again, just notice how the ankle is working in this direction. Taking full, deep, steady breaths. Nice. All right, go ahead and come to stillness here. Flex through your right foot, externally rotate your right leg and cross your right ankle to the top of your left thigh. From here, let's go ahead and open our arms out to the side in a T shape. Press your right ankle against the top of your left knee and then draw your left knee towards your chest. Now, as the left knee comes towards your chest, you resist with your right ankle. And you'll just take a few breath cycles here, seeing if you can keep both sit bones pretty equally rooted and weighted. Noticing if this feels good to you, if you like this little engagement here, or if you want to thread your hands through the whole of your legs, grabbing the back of your left thigh or the front of your left shin. And you just continue to press your right ankle into your left thigh into your right ankle. Soften any tension around your shoulders and just pause and you breathe. Nice work. On your next exhale, gently release your hands back out to the T shape. Release your left foot to the floor. Draw your right foot next to it. Pause here. Reach your left leg up. Cross your left thigh completely over as though you're wearing a dress, so thighs are touching. And then bend the knee. Pull both legs over to your left as you resist with your right knee. And just feel a nice little stretch happening on the outer edge of your hip, maybe all the way up into your side body. And take 3 deep breaths here, breathing into your right low belly, right ribs, noticing how that feels to soften any tension around the shoulders and maybe rotate your upper rib cage back to the floor to the right. Nice work. On your next in-breath, gently come back to center. Uncross the legs. Take a moment to notice what it feels like between the right side and the left side. And then go ahead and draw both knees into your chest once again. Maybe you rock a little bit right to left. Maybe you stay completely still, but you just notice what that feels like. And then from here, keep your left knee in. Release your right foot back towards the floor. Take a few ankle circles hugging on to that left leg and just notice what it feels like to roll the ankle. So right foot down, Sandy, left leg stays in. There you go. And you just pause and you breathe. Big, full circles. And then gently switch directions with your circles. And again, just notice how this foot feels in this direction. Jenny, I'm not sure if you can still hear me, but your video looks like it's paused. Fantastic. And then let's go ahead and come to stillness with that left leg. Go ahead and flex the left ankle, externally rotate the left knee, and then cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. From here, arms open out into a T shape. And then draw your right knee towards your chest, press and resist with your left ankle. And just take a few breaths here to notice if you can root both your right sit bone and your left sit bone evenly. And some of you may choose to stay here. Some of you might thread your hands through the whole of your legs and grab the back of the right thigh or the front of your right shin. And wherever you are, you'll just take a couple of breaths and you'll notice how the breath is moving, seeing if you can relax any tension around your shoulders. Calm, steady, smooth, deep breath. Fantastic. If you're holding on to your leg, gently release. Draw your right foot back to the floor. Then unwind your left leg, planting the left foot right next to the right. Reach your right leg up. Cross your right thigh completely over your left thigh, and then resist as you pull both legs over towards the right. And you just pause and you breathe here. And you're noticing what's happening on the side body from your hip, maybe from the hip up towards the armpit. Taking 3 deep breaths on that left side, left low back in particular. Nice job. On your next inhalation, go ahead and come back up through center. Uncross the legs and just take a moment to pause and breathe. This time I want you to take a few little pelvic nutations. So you'll round the low back and arch the low back like you're taking mini cats and cows just at your pelvis and feeling if you can find your neutral spine in doing that. Great. Okay, go ahead and come to stillness, come to neutral. Draw your right knee into your chest. Put the strap across the ball of your right foot. And then send your right foot up towards the sky. Now, once you're here, let's pause. So you're going to really try to find that 90-degree angle. Press up through the ball of your big toe mound and your pinky toe mound. Pull down evenly with both hands so that you can really feel like you're riding a horse or something. And then press up even more through your heel as you pull down with your strap. Great. Now, some of you will stay here. Check in with your pelvis. Some of you will reach your left leg long on the floor against you. And just like or against the floor. Sorry, Sandy. There you go. And then take a moment to notice, can you find that neutral spine in your pelvis? Can you press up through your right foot as you root down through your left heel, your left calf, your left thigh? And then notice if there's any like tension around your shoulders or your neck and see if you can soften any of that. And you just take a few breaths here. Keep reaching up through the right heel, reaching up through your right big toe mound. Fantastic. Some of you will stay here happy as a clam. Some of you will bring both ends of your strap into your left hand. You'll draw your right thumb to your right hip crease. From here, actively push your right thigh away from you. Keep your right bum heavy and then cross your right leg a few inches over to your left. And you go as far or not as you wish to go. But I want you to breathe. Press out through your big toe mound of your right foot even more. Yep. Press out through your heel and your pinky toe mound. And then notice if you can soften any tension around your mouth as you're probably gripping for dear life because of the IT band stretch. Nice work. On your next inhalation, come back up through center. As you exhale, see if you can leave the leg there, but release the strap. And then very slowly lower the leg to the floor. Slowly, slowly. There we go. Yay! Yay! Nice control. Fantastic. By the time your right leg finally touches, take a moment to just allow both legs to settle. And just take a few breaths and notice what you notice between the sides. Letting everything just relax and soften. And then when you're ready, we'll bend both knees and plant both feet firmly on the floor. This time, draw your left knee into your chest. Draw the strap across the ball of your left foot, and then send your left foot back up towards the sky. And then same thing that we did before. So you'll pull down evenly on both ends of your strap. You'll press up through your big toe mound and your pinky toe mound. You'll reach your left heel up as you pull the strap down. And then check in with your sit bones. Make sure right and left sit bones, right and left hip are equally rooted. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will extend your right leg long against the floor. And if that right leg does go long, you'll flex through your right heel or right foot so you can press down through the right heel, the right calf, the right thigh as you reach up through your left heel. And then you'll notice if you can soften any tension around the shoulders, any tension around your mouth. Yeah, and just take a few breaths here, drawing your left hip away from your left shoulder just a bit. Yep. Then you just pause and you breathe. Fantastic. Now, some of you will stay here. Again, your option to maybe bring both ends of the strap into your right hand. Then draw your left thumb to your left hip crease. Actively push your left thigh away from your head and keep that left hip rooted as you cross your left leg a few inches over to the right. Now, as the leg goes over to the right, continue to press out through your left big toe mound, your left pinky toe mound, and your left heel. And then notice how that probably intensified the stretch on your left side. And then you see if you can pause and you breathe. Notice where there's any unnecessary tension. Two more breath cycles here. And then at the end of this next exhalation, you'll inhale and you'll come straight back up through center. Keep the leg there, but release the strap. And then again, slower than you want to, lower that leg down to the floor. Slowly, 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 slowly. Hi, Alexander, slowly. Yeah. Fantastic, guys. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Fantastic. And then when the left leg finally touches, just allow yourself to take a couple of deep breaths, letting the body completely relax and fall into the floor. Nice job. All right, let's go ahead and bend our knees and plant our feet firmly on the floor. And then for this one, let's go ahead and bring our block in between our thighs on the first or the second setting, or one of our blocks rather, because you have several. And I want you to make sure that your feet are about hip distance apart. Notice if for you it feels like you need to spin your heels out just a little bit. And then you're going to press down into your big toe mounds and your pinky toe mounds. And you're going to start to hug your block. And notice if your right leg hugs harder than your left, and see if you can find a symmetry between that. Release your hands either out in a T shape or alongside your hips. And then as you're ready, you're going to inhale and push through the feet, hug the block, and start to lift your hips. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly roll down the spine bone by bone by bone. And you'll do this about 4 times. So you're hugging your block, you're inhaling, you're coming up to whatever height feels good to you. And then you keep hugging the block and you exhale and you continue to lower down. Now for today, we're really interested in making sure our right and our left hip are equally working. So do you feel the adductor more on one side? So those are the inner muscles of the thigh. Do you feel the glutes, the muscles on the back of the leg, working more on one side than the other? Do you notice if one foot peels more away from the floor than the other? And so as you're doing this, we're just trying to see if we can move at such a pace that we can get both sides of the body to do their fair share of work. Yeah, nice job, guys. All right. This next time you go ahead and come up, we're going to come up and stay there for a series of breaths. So when you're ready, you come up for this last time, you lightly hug the block, and then you come up. And when you're there, you might pause. You might continue to keep your hands as they are because this feels okay. You might want to adjust your head and make sure that you still have a cervical curve, meaning your neck is not pressed into the floor. And then you just pause and you breathe. You're good, Jenny. On your next exhalation, gently come all the way back down, bone by bone by bone by bone. When your pelvis finally touches, just take a moment to find that neutral spine again. Take a breath and just notice what you experience happening in the pelvis. And then from here, we'll go ahead and draw our knees towards our chest, remove that block. Yep. And swim your hands to the inside edges of your thighs, grab the outer edges of your feet, and press the soles of your feet towards each other. And you want to make sure that you can try to press your pinky toes and your big toes, your inner and outer heels towards each other, and then see how far away from your face you can open your knees. And you might notice that this can create a bit of length in the back, might create opening in the inner thighs. So some of you will choose to stay right here in this awkward Supta Baddha Konasana position. Some of you might choose to start to open your knees towards the floor and your feet towards the sky as you continue to press your big toes and pinky toe mounds up towards the ceiling and pull down lightly with hands. And I want you to notice, how do you feel the stretch now? Do you feel it more on one hip than the other? Is it on the inside or the outside of the hip? How is the breath working? And seeing if you can just allow yourself to fully breathe with that sensation. So again, the inhale is creating space and the exhale is allowing ease. Nice job. All right. From here, let's go ahead and draw the knees back towards each other. Give yourself a tiny little squeeze. Awesome sauce. And then start to tuck your chin towards your chest, round your forehead to your knees, and see how tiny and compact of a ball you are able to make at this moment. Now, this is hard, so I'm going to let you know ahead of time. You're going to try to rock and roll 10 times without using your legs for momentum. So you're going to try to come up to sit. And it's a fun little exercise. Sometimes I get frustrated and decide to cheat by drawing my legs away from me because otherwise I can't get enough momentum. But yeah, and Sandy, see if you can keep your head towards your knees the whole time. There we go. There we go. Yep. And once you've taken your 10 rocks, you'll come up to sit. Yeah, nice job. Fantastic. From there, we'll turn around and we'll make our way onto our hands and knees. Now, before we go any further, we're going to make sure our blocks are still towards the upper outer edges of our mat. Some of you might choose to, again, pad, well, not again, but choose to pad your knees with your blanket. And then from here, we'll make our way into tabletop position. Once you find yourself in tabletop, go ahead and spread wide through your hands. And we're going to drop our heart. We're going to drop our belly. We're going to drop our head. So we're going to find our sad Seattle-esque cows. And you could just take about 10 breath cycles here. And I want you to see how strong you can make your arms, how heavy you can let the heart be, how heavy you can let the belly be, how wide you can spread through the pelvis or through your sit bones and pubic bone, and how heavy you can let the head be. Now, as you continue to breathe here, you might stay completely in stillness, or you might try to spin the eyes of your elbows forward and then the eyes of your elbows back. And you might take about 10 of those, and you're just feeling what that does on the shoulder girdle, continuing to breathe deeply through the breath, or deeply with the breath. Fantastic. And we'll say that's about our 10th one. So you'll go ahead and come to stillness there, and then start to lift your gaze and inhale into your cow shape. And then as you exhale, round through the spine, find your cat shape. And you'll just take 4 cats and cows, breathing with the movement of the body. Big inhales into cow, big exhales into cat. Nice work. All right. After this next exhalation, go ahead and inhale into a neutral spine. And this is the first of our little feet things. So go ahead and walk your knees, ankles, and shins together. Curl all 10 toes under. We're just going to take a mini one here. So you're going to press your bum back toward your heels, and we're just going to stay here. And I want you to see if you can find that cow shape in your pelvis. And if you can draw the shoulder blades down the back, and just notice what you notice happening in the feet. Notice if you can take in a deeper breath. Experience what is happening right here, right now. Fantastic. You've got 2 more breath cycles here. On your next in-breath, we're going to crawl forward, extend the tops of the feet onto the floor, and go ahead and sit back onto your heels. And so this is just a gentle baby counter stretch just to see how this goes. Don't worry, we'll do another one. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and come forward onto hands and knees once again. This time you're going to take your left shin and you're going to bring it to the back of your right calf. Top of the right foot is on the floor. Now you're going to just drag your left shin up and down, so between the knee and the ankle, applying a bit of pressure here, just experiencing how that is going for you. Some of you will continue to do that. Some of you will start to go right to left, sawing at the back of your right calf, or playing a little violin, however you wish to imagine that. Some of you will continue to stay with that. Some of you will do the pin and stretch. So you'll find a fun spot. You'll pause. You'll press your right, or rather your left shin into the back of your right calf. You might bring your blocks with you as you start to sit back, and you'll just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Fantastic. You might stay there. You might come forward and slide your left shin a little further down. Press it. Maybe walk your hands back with your blocks, maybe not, but you choose and you pause and you breathe. Nice work. And third time's a charm. Shift your weight forward, slide the left shin back just a little bit, and then go ahead and sit back. And you just notice how that feels. Fantastic. And then we'll go ahead and come forward. Those that have been sawing the whole time, gently come to a neutral tabletop position. We'll all extend our right leg back, toes curled under, and just feel what that stretch feels like as you reach back through your right heel. And then as you're ready, you'll bend the right knee, bring the right shin to the back of your left calf, and we'll try all that on the other side. So you might just start by going up and down, stretch, applying a bit of pressure to the back of your left calf. Some of you will then start to go a little bit right to left, either playing a little violin or sawing at your left calf. Okay, some of you will continue with that. Some of you will do the pin and stretch 3 times. So you'll find one spot closer to the left knee, and then start to walk your hands maybe with the blocks back as you push your right calf into the back, or your right shin into the back of your left calf. Fantastic. We'll gently come out of that. You'll shift your weight to draw the right shin a little further down the left calf and find a second spot. And you'll pause and you'll breathe. And then we'll come out of that and we'll try our third time, a little closer to your ankle, and you just pause and you breathe. Nice job. Next in breath, let's go ahead and come forward. Release both knees down to the mat, tabletop position, and then we'll all extend our left leg back. And you just take a moment to pause there and feel what that feels like as you reach back through your left heel. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and bend both knees. Draw both legs together, curl all 10 toes under, and then we'll sit back for toe squat. Now from here, go ahead and make sure you pulled your pinky toes under, and we'll sit tall here. Now we've got options. Option number 1 is to make little fists. Bring your hands to your head, and you will curl your elbows towards each other and then open them out. So this is option number 1. You might sit here and just do these weird type of bicep curls. Option number 2 is to bend one elbow, grab that elbow with the opposite hand, and find a nice stretch, finding a stretch along your latissimus dorsi of that side. And if you've done that, be sure to visit the other side. Yep. And then option number 3 is to just interlace the hands at the low back, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, the shoulder blades down the back, and feel what it feels like to have a little stretch across your chest. And we'll be here for another 4 breath cycles. So if there's another one that you want to try, by all means, go ahead and do it. But you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. Fantastic. All right. Very gently, we're going to come out of this. So release whatever arm configuration you've got. Come forward onto your hands and knees. Extend the tops of your feet to the floor, and then go ahead and sit back. And now today, we're just going to shift our weight back and lift our knees, one and or both knees, up and away from the floor if that feels okay. So we notice that this is a little bit more intense than what we previously did. Laura, be mindful of how this is feeling on the anterior part of your foot. And then we'll gently come out of this. All right. Now from here, we're gonna go ahead and widen our knees as wide as our mat. And you might even decide to widen them even wider than your mat. It depends on how much mobility you have. And then you're gonna sit your butt back and then walk your hands forward. So we're in this super weird, awkward, wide-legged child's pose. And the intention here is we're trying to feel a stretch, an opening along the inner edges of your thighs, somewhere near your pubic bone. So if you feel like you need to widen your knees, by all means do that. But you just take a few breath cycles here and notice what you notice happening. Fantastic. And then we'll gently start to come out of this. So you'll start to walk your hands back towards you. And you'll start to walk them all the way back so you can sit. Makes it a little easier to get out of this because then you can walk one knee together and then the other knee together. There we go. And then we'll bring one hip to the floor and swing our legs around in front of us. Cool. Now some of us are just going to move that blanket now so it's back behind us. And then some of us are going to reach for our strap. Awesome. So if you're sitting on the blanket, go ahead and sit on the blanket and make sure your sit bones are on the blanket and it feels like your pubic bone falls forward of the blanket. And then let's go ahead and bend our right leg, externally rotate our right leg. I'm going to move the block so you can see my foot. And then we're going to flex through our left foot. This is where our strap would come in. You'd put your strap across the ball of your left foot. Fantastic. And just like we did when we were on our backs, you're going to pull back with that strap like you're riding 6 white horses through the mountains or however that song goes. And then start to pull your heart forward. So we're going to see if we can keep our backs pretty straight like they were when we were lying down. And we're reaching our heart forward. Now, if you want to walk your hands a little further down the strap, by all means, you can do that. But you're going to push your left heel into the floor. You're going to push your left ball of the foot and pinky toe of, or big toe and pinky toe of the foot into the strap and pull back. And you're trying to see how close you can draw your heart forward to your left foot as you dig your left heel down and drag your left heel isometrically back towards your left hip. Now, if you're happy as a clam there with a straight spine, you might stay there, or you might start to round your upper back just a little bit, drawing your your face towards your left shin. And you just pause and you breathe, and you're noticing, especially people with low back stuff, what's happening on your outer right back hip where your quadratus lumborum exists. Nice work. All right. Very mindfully, we're going to start to come out of this. So you might just release your strap, bring your hands to the floor, and walk yourself back up to vertical. Great. From here, we're going to just swim our left leg out to the left. So now it's more externally rotated. So we should feel that both our right knee and our left thigh are externally rotated. Replant or press your right thigh into your left thigh. Bring your left hand to the outside edge of your left thigh and your right hand to the outside edge of your left thigh. So we're actually holding on to our left thigh. Now from here, you're going to push down into your left hand and lift up through the spine so it feels like you're rotating to the left. Some of you might then start to walk your right hand further down your left leg towards your foot. Then you'll maybe walk your left hand forward as well. But you'll pull back with your right hand. You'll push down with your left hand. So it feels like you've got a rotation happening there. And you'll reach your heart forward between that space. And you can keep doing this, keeping the spine as long as possible, pulling with the right hand, pushing down with the left heel, pulling the left heel back, pushing the left fingertips down, sort of rotating your spine towards the left. And some of you will be able to reach your right hip back as you reach out more through your right shoulder region. And you just pause and you breathe. Nice work. All right. We're going to gently come out of that. So you'll, again, maybe bring the hands to the floor, start to walk your hands back to center, unwind your spine, and just notice what it feels like to be neutral for a moment. And then you might need to discard any of your props, extend your right leg forward, extend your left leg forward for Dandasana, and just notice if you notice anything between the sides. Maybe flex and point the ankles if that feels good to you. And then when you're ready, we'll try the other side. So we'll go ahead and bend our left knee, externally rotate your left leg, and draw the sole of the foot into the inside edge of your right foot. From here, we might, well, first of all, check to make sure your butt's okay. So you might want to remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones. And then you'll grab your strap and put your strap across the ball of your right foot. Nice. Now from here, again, really push down into the right heel, press out through the right big toe mound to pinky toe mound and pull back with the strap. From there, start to hinge at the pelvis to reach your heart forward. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And again, our first option is just to see how far forward we can come with our spine super straight. And then you might choose to allow the upper spine to round so your forehead can come closer towards your right shin. But you just pause and you breathe and you notice what's happening on the left low back region between your ribs and your hips on the left side. Keep rooting your right heel down into the floor and pulling it back isometrically so you feel that stretch on your right hamstring. Nice work. All right, we'll gently start to come out of this. So release the strap. Hands will probably come to the floor to walk your spine back up to vertical. And then from there, we're going to open our right leg to the right. And then make sure you can root your left sole of the foot into the inside edge of your right thigh. Hi, Elliot. And then from here, we'll bring our right hand to the outside edge of our right leg. We'll hug or hook our left hand to the outside edge of our right leg. And then first inhale, lift up. So really lengthen the spine. And then as you exhale, you might start to walk your right hand forward. You might start to walk your left hand forward, but you're going to scoop the belly and reach your heart forward between the space of your right foot and your right hand as you find this twist and this forward fold shape. And you just pause and you breathe. And we're trying to find length between our hip and our ribs and maybe even our shoulders, all on that left side. Nice work. All right. When you're ready, you're gently going to come out of this. So you'll release the hands to the floor. You'll walk them back towards your pelvis. You'll unwind your spine. You'll take a moment to notice how that feels. And then go ahead and remove any props in front of you. We'll extend our left leg forward and our right leg forward and just take a moment again to sit in Dandasana. Notice if you want to circle the ankles or anything there. And then we're going to move on. Go ahead and cross one ankle over the other, doesn't matter which. Bend the knees to sit in Sukhasana. And then transfer onto hands and knees. Now at this point, before we go any further, let's reposition our blocks towards the upper outer corners of our space. Yep, and then you're all going to make your way back to downward facing dog once you've done that. Now this is our first down dog, but we spent quite a bit of time working on our hamstrings. So I want you to just notice how the backs of your legs feel as you're in this shape now. And so keep pressing down and forward through the L shape of your hands. Notice if you can draw your ears in line with your arms. Yep. And then reach your hips up to where the wall and the ceiling meet. Fantastic. Take another deep breath in here, and on your next exhale, go ahead and bend your knees and start to walk your feet towards your face. Once you find yourself at the top of your space with your feet hip distance apart, really make sure that your feet are pretty parallel towards one another. And then some of you will stay here with fingers on the floor. Some of you will hook opposite elbow. Some of you will bring hands to blocks. All of you will see how heavy you can make your head. And you just notice if you've got your elbows in your arms, see if you can use the L shape of your hands to make the elbows even heavier. If your hands are still on the floor, notice if you can allow the chin to drop more into the chest so that you can just continue to hang forward from the pelvis. Nice work. All right, those that are hugging opposite elbow, gently release your hands to the floor. And then we're going to slowly roll up bone by bone. You get to choose. Do you want your legs straight or do you want your legs bent? But you're going to take, I don't know, 10 breath cycles or so to come up to stand. And you're just trying to work through your hamstrings if the legs are straight. Work through the vertebra. Notice if you're breathing and let the movement naturally and slowly unfurl. Nice work. You just keep breathing and you take your time. And when you finally do find yourself vertical, if you need to roll the shoulders back, by all means, go ahead and do that. Okay. And then from here, let's go ahead and inhale and sweep our arms up and overhead. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. And we're going to take a little baby side bend over towards the right. Really root down into your left heel. Lengthen tailbone, pubic bone evenly to the floor. Next in breath, go ahead and come up through center. As you exhale, switch the hands. So hold on to your right wrist now. And then exhale over to the left. Again, rooting down through your right foot. Maybe swimming your left armpit shoulder thing forward just a smidge. Great. Next inhale, come back up through center. As you exhale, release both hands down. Interlace your hands at your low back. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears, your shoulder blades together on the back, and then we're going to start to hinge forward at our hips. Once you reach halfway, if you feel like you need to, you will release your hands down and to the floor. Otherwise, you'll just let your head continue to fall towards the floor. From there, you might keep your hands on your bum, or you might start to reach your arms up towards the sky. You might also start to reach your arms up and over your head. Wherever you happen to be, check in with the weight in your feet. Is it equally distributed between the front, meaning the balls of your feet, and the back, meaning the heels of your feet? Is it equally rooted right to left, so on the inner edges of the feet as well as the outer edges of the feet? And you just take a moment to pause. Can you let your head be a little heavier? Fantastic. Those with the hands up and behind your head, start to bring your hands back to your bum. Release the hands and slide them down towards the floor. Great. From here, let's inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your palms and step yourself back to a plank pose. So this is our first one of the whole day. Hooray for us. Now you'll just take about 5 breaths here because we haven't done too much core work. So you just want to let your core start to come online, and you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. Fantastic. And then when you're ready, you'll shift your weight forward. As you start to bend your elbows, hug your elbows back, reach your heart forward and lower your chest and your thighs at the same rate. Yeah. Once you're down onto the floor, extend the tops of the feet to the floor. Press your toenails down, strengthen through your legs, and inhale, start to curl your heart forward to come up. Now we're going to stay here for a few breaths today. I want you to notice what happens if you push your pubic bone down, so like you're trying to round your low back into a cat shape, or if you lift your pelvis up just a little bit like you're coming into a cow shape. And by little, I mean, it's like maybe a millimeter. It's just a little pelvic nutation happening there. And you're just observing what feels best for your spine. So we're trying to find the relationship between your pelvis and your low back and your pelvis and your thighs. And so you're just noticing what you notice as you do that. Once you've found the ideal spot for you, meaning there's no pain and everything feels strong and engaged in a nice way, you'll stay in that position and then you'll start to hug your elbows back. You'll reach your heart forward and then see if you can hover your hands away from the floor for 3, hover them away for 2, hover them away for 1. Fantastic. Gently lower all the way down. Inhale, come up through hands and knees. And then exhale, make your way back to downward facing dog. Great. Now that you're in your second down dog, I want you to notice how this one feels. How does this one feel in comparison to the first? How is the breath moving through the body right here, right now? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. Pause here. Notice how the hamstring is feeling on the left side. So really reach the right foot up. Really, there you go, Jenny. Root down through the left heel. Fantastic. Exhale, curl your knee to your nose. So draw the right knee forward, round through your spine. Yep. And then gently plant that foot between your hands. Nice. From here, you might bring your hands to your blocks. Step your left foot to the left a smidge and put your foot down for warrior 1. Great. Root down into your back foot a lot, and then root down into your front foot. Squeeze those points together and start to bring your spine up to vertical. Nice. Now for today, let's bring our hands to hips for warrior 1. I want you to pay very close attention to what's happening in your back ankle. So with your hands on your hips, notice if you need to sort of point your back toes forward just a little bit so it feels like you've got this nice rooting. And then notice what happens in your calf when you do that. And then notice what happens in the thigh when you do that. And then notice what happens in the pelvis. Can you draw the outer right hip back as you allow the outer left hip to come forward? Then notice what's happening in your butt. Is your butt sticking back a little bit or is it curled under? It doesn't matter. We're just trying to find your neutral spine. And then when you're ready, you'll start to reach your arms up and overhead. And actually, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter today. It does matter in general, but not for today. We're focusing on what is feeling in alignment with your body. So you're just pausing and you're breathing. And maybe if your hands are up and overhead, maybe you interlace fingers. Maybe you lift your ribs up from your hips. Maybe you root down more through your left foot and then draw your outer right hip back. Fantastic. As you're ready, we're going to start to exhale, bring our hands down to the blocks in front of us and straighten your front leg long. Straighten our front leg long. Yeah, buddy. Good job. Okay, so now we're in pyramid pose. Now, once again, check in with your back foot, your left foot. See if you can externally rotate your left leg from the top of your left hip. Root down into your left pinky toe and then press your right big toe down even more. Now, all of us, let's lift our spine halfway and see if you can come to the tips of your fingertips on your blocks. Yeah. Notice how that keeps you long and straight here. Let's keep that. Draw your right thumb to your right hip crease. Now, this time, I want you to really push your right hip back, or rather pull it back as you reach your heart forward. So you're pulling that right hip back, you're reaching your heart forward, you're clawing your left fingertips back. And then you might start to scoop the belly on the right side and start to roll your right ribs on top of your left. Good morning, Julie. And rotate towards the right. Some of you might then start to extend up through that top shoulder and then maybe reach up through the right arm. But you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Fantastic. As you're ready, gently unwind. Bring your hands to the floor, bend your front knee, pivot to the ball of your back foot, and step back to downward facing dog. And then you just pause and you breathe. And some of you will stay right here. Some of you will inhale and roll your spine forward into plank. And then you'll shift your weight forward, hug your elbows back, lower your chest and thighs at the same time, coming through chaturanga all the way to the floor. Nice work. Then extend the tops of your feet to the floor. Then some of you will just come back into that cobra that we tried before. So you'll pull your hands back, you'll pull your heart forward, and you might stay there. You might hover your hands away from the floor, or you might lift your legs away from the floor to find locust pose, but you'll be there for a couple breath cycles and you just notice what that feels like. And then when you're ready, you exhale and you lower down. You curl your toes under. You come up either hands and knees or plank position, and then you make your way back to downward facing dog. And then you just pause and you breathe and you notice what your down dog feels like now. Laura, can you bend your knees for me a little bit? Yep. And with your knees bent, see if you can shift your butt up towards where your wall and your, yeah. And then from there, see if you can pull your armpits away from the floor just a little. Yes. Keep your hips going up and back. Yeah. Fantastic. Next, in breath, reach your left leg up and back. As you exhale, round through your spine, hug your knee to your nose to your knee. Yep. And then gently plant that foot between your hands. Fantastic. At this point, let's go ahead and bring our hands to our blocks. And then step your right foot to the right a little bit and spin it down for warrior one. Cool. Now, before we go anywhere, start to become light on your fingertips. Press into your back foot, press into your front foot, squeeze those points together, and start to bring your spine up to vertical. Yeah, nice work. And then we'll, again, as we did on the first side, bring our hands to our hips. And I want you to pay attention to what's happening in your right foot. So that's the back foot. Notice what happens if your toes are pointed a little bit more towards the upper right-hand corner of your space. What does that do into your right calf? How does that translate into your right thigh bone? Can you then bend into your left knee and draw your left hip back as your right hip comes forward? And then notice what's happening in your sacrum, your pelvis. Does it feel like you're doing a cow there or a cat? And see if you can find what feels neutral for you. And then when you're ready, we'll go ahead and reach our arms up and overhead for Virabhadrasana 1. And then you might interlace fingers, you might not. You might think of lifting your whole rib cage up and away from your hips. And we'll just pause and we'll breathe, and we'll pause and we'll breathe. On our next exhale, go ahead and bring your hands down to your blocks. Straighten your front leg long. Now, if you need to turn your blocks up a tick, by all means, go ahead and do that. But we're going to keep focusing on our back foot. So you're externally rotating your right thigh. So really rooting down through your right pinky toe, the right back of the leg. And then notice if you can press from your left sit bone down to your left big toe mound. And then all of us, let's lift our spine halfway, and you'll probably want to come onto your fingertips here. So spine is super long. Then let's bring our left thumb to our left hip crease. From here, start to pull your left hip back as you reach your heart forward, and you claw your right fingertips back into your blocks, and then you'll start to scoop the belly on the left side as you roll your left ribs on top of the right ribs under and forward. And then maybe you can stack your left shoulder more on top of the right. And maybe some of you will start to reach your left arm up. And you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. Yeah. And Barbara, let your heart come forward. Yeah. Does that feel okay? Okay. And then as you're ready, gently release that hand back down to the floor. Bend your front knee, plant your palms, and step yourself back to downward facing dog. When you're ready, you might stay here or cycle through an up dog or cobra. It's totally up to you. But you just allow yourself to move with your breath, noticing how that feels and how you're working with it. Nice work. All right. From down dog, go ahead and bend your knees and bring your knees to the mat. Depending upon how much space you have, you might turn sideways or you might stay exactly as you are. I would encourage you to use your blanket underneath your knees just because it helps to have the extra padding. If you're on a carpet, you may not need that, so that's totally fine. We're going to take frog pose. So you're going to come forward onto your hands and knees, and then you're going to, again, widen your knees as wide as they will go, keeping your big toes touching. And then you're going to start to bring your forearms down. Now, at this point, some of you will start to widen your knees even more as you separate your feet. So now your feet are pointing straight back from your knees. Some of you will point your toes back. Some of you will flex at your ankle. You choose based upon what's feeling appropriate in your body. And you just take a few breath cycles here. And we're breathing and hopefully feeling some opening along our inner thighs near our pubic bone, so our adductors, and we're just noticing what we notice. We've got about 3 or 4 more breath cycles here. When you are ready to come out of this shape, you'll have to shift your weight forward a little bit. You'll draw your big toes closer towards each other. That will allow you to then start to walk your hands back towards your pelvis and then start to walk your knees in towards each other. As awkward as all of that sounded. Fantastic. Then you'll come back to down dog facing the top of your mat. You'll make your way back to down dog facing the top of your mat when you're ready. And then just notice how down dog feels now after having done that awkward shape. Great. From down dog, go ahead and inhale, rise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees and step or float to the top of your space. Probably. Once you get to the top of your space, separate your feet hip distance apart. And then inhale, bend your knees, sit your butt low, Utkatasana, chair pose. Fantastic. So now that we're in chair, you can have your arms wherever you want. So maybe they're forward, maybe they're at your chest, but you're just finding how much weight you can draw into your legs, how much lift you can get through your chest, how long you can keep your spine. And then when you're ready, I'll start to push through the feet, straighten the legs, and come up to stand. Cool. Now I'm going to encourage you to keep your hands here. And I want you to really push your hands into each other and then really push your chest forward into your hands. Shift the weight to your right leg and start to float your left leg up, really pulling the toes up towards your knees, pressing the palms into each other. Start to bend your right leg, cross your left ankle over the top of the right, and same like when we were pulling on that strap, you're isometrically pulling your shoulder blades back, your heart forward, your butt back, and you're hinging at your hips. Maybe your elbows reach towards your inner ankle and your knee of your, left leg. Maybe your hands reach down towards the blocks beneath you, but you're just pausing and you're breathing, and you're pausing and you're breathing. Nice. And then very gently, we're going to come out of that. So root down through the right foot, lift up through the left, lower the left foot down. And then just take a moment. If you need to shake things out, but just feel how you feel. And then we'll try all that on the other side. So hands come back to heart center. Really press the palms into each other. Really connect your thumbs to your sternum, sternums to your thumb. And then transfer the weight to your left leg. Start to float your right leg up and pull the toes up towards your knee. Then you're going to bend your left leg, cross the right ankle over, and then hinging with the heart. So the heart comes forward, your butt goes back. You're sitting, pressing the knee into the ankle into the knee, feeling that fun stretch that's happening on the outer edge of your right hip. Maybe hands stay at heart center, maybe elbows reach towards that inner ankle and knee, or maybe hands reach down to blocks underneath you. But you pause and you breathe. Great. When you're ready to come out, root down through the left leg, float up through the right, release the foot down. So work. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn to face the long edge of your mat. And then separate your feet about 3 feet apart. Now make sure your feet are parallel-ish to the short edges of your mat. And if you already know that your torso has, like, you're not as long or even as you want and you need blocks, bring your blocks with you. There we go. And then from here, we'll just bring our hands to our hips. You'll push down through your feet. You'll draw your shoulders up towards your ears, your shoulder blades together on your back, and we'll start to hinge forward. Once you're halfway, you might notice that you want to bring your hands to the floor or the blocks underneath you, and then you'll allow yourself to continue your descent towards the floor. Awesome. And if your legs are far enough apart, you might be able to bring your forehead entirely to the floor, or rather the top of your head entirely to the floor. And if you're doing that, I encourage you to put a small amount of pressure, and by small, I mean like less than a pound. And you just pause and you breathe, and you notice that you can find elongation through your whole spine by doing that. If your head is like, yeah, Jessica, that's not happening, no worries. I want you to push down through your feet and allow your spine to hang from your hips and just find that elongation through the vertebra. Great. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will lift your spine halfway. You will crawl your left hand to the outside edge of your right foot. And then you'll start to bend your left knee and allow your head to descend between your left elbow and your right leg. So the left knee bends, and you're just finding this crazy stretch happening on your your left side body. Yep. Fantastic. If you took that, gently unwind, come back through center. And we'll try that on the other side. So now your right hand is going to walk. It's going to grab maybe your left foot. The left hand can maybe come to the outside edge of your left foot. You bend your right knee, and kind of very similar to what we did when we were sitting on the floor, you're pulling isometrically back with that right hand. You're bending the right knee. You're finding a stretch along your intercostal latissimus muscles on the right side. Great. And gently come out of that. Go ahead and come back through center. If you need to, wiggle walk your feet a little closer towards each other. Go ahead and lift your spine halfway. Bend your knees slightly, and then bring one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Reach your crown away from your pelvis, and then inhale, come all the way up. Great. Last thing, spin your heels out, your heels in, your toes out. And then you're going to start to bend your knees and sit for horse. So we've been working up to this. Hopefully this isn't too bad. And so you just sit here. We've got this external rotation happening. You're hugging your outer hips in. Maybe you bring your hands to heart center. And you just pause and you breathe. And then you check in with your back. How's your back doing? And you find that neutral spine there. Can you bend a little bit more into your knees and really hug your outer hips in? Fantastic. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will release your hands to your thighs and lock out your arms. And you might take a gentle twist one way or the other. And if you're taking that gentle twist, the arm you're twisting away from ideally stays straight. Great. And then you'll go ahead and come back to center, hands to heart center. We'll breathe here for a last 3 breath cycles. Last 2. Last 1. Go ahead and straighten the legs. Turn the feet to parallel. And then step or float your feet together. Cool. Let's turn to face the top of our space. Last little thing. If you have a wall, that might be helpful just because we're going to do one more balance thing. But otherwise, we're going to bring our hands to our hips. Go ahead and bend your left leg. Grab your left foot with your left hand. And then see if you can draw the left shoulder blade onto your back body. And I want you to play with where your knees are in relationship to each other. So what happens if you draw your left knee back just a little bit? What happens if you draw your left knee down just a little bit? You're paying attention to what's happening in your hip and your thigh on the left side. Great. Very mindfully release that leg. Hands back to hips, shift the weight to your left leg, bend the right knee, reach back with the right hand, grab the right ankle with the right hand. And then again, notice what happens if you draw the knees in line with each other, or maybe the right leg a little further back. What happens if you draw the right knee a little further down, paying attention to little movements in your body and how that's working. Great. Right shoulder blade back. And then very gently release that. Cool. Now that we're all standing, we're going to go to a wall. Our last pose of the day is legs up the wall. So I want you to go to a wall. You can also do this over a bed, Sandy or Barbara, or actually Jenny, you could do it over your little couch thing there too. Julie, you have a chair, you could do that as well. But you'll go with your pelvis to the wall or whatever you want your legs to go over. If you're at a wall, the legs are straight, obviously. If you're over a bed, then they're bent. So you choose what option you want. You got a chair too. Cool. And so the closer your pelvis is to whatever surface you're using, the more intense that might potentially be for your hamstrings. So you notice that for you. And then, Sandy, if you're going to stay there, you should bend your knees, or you can go to the wall. Okay. And then from here, I want you to check in with your pelvis. Is your pelvis able to come to a neutral position? So your pubic bone is neither curling up towards the ceiling or dipping down, but it's finding that neutral spot. And then notice where you want to have your hands. Do you want your arms on the body? Do you want them off the body? Great. And then notice what's happening with your shoulders once you've placed your hands wherever you've placed them. Great. And then notice what's happening with your head. Does it feel like your chin is jutting up towards the sky? Or does it feel like your chin is in line with your sternum so that maybe you have to inchworm the back of your head back a little bit? Nice. Okay. Now we'll just take a series of breaths. So very similar to how we started. So you'll take a big breath in and you'll take a big breath out. And you'll do that 2 more times. If the breath is audible, great. If it's not, great. And then at the end of this next exhalation, allow your mouth to close if your lips are not closed. And again, we'll allow every inhalation to create space in the body, and every exhalation to create ease. And you'll stay here as long as feels comfortable for you. If at any point you're like, I want something else, by all means, you can come out. But we'll just be here with our breath for a few moments, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, if there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to come out, you might find that you need to bend one knee at a time and plant that foot on the wall. Depending upon your body, you might need to push yourself a little bit away from the wall, or you might be able to just roll over to one side. Once you're on a side, just take a few breaths to be there. From your side, you'll start to roll your chest more towards the floor, and then use the strength of your arms to try to walk yourself up to a tall seat. And then depending upon how much effort it might be, you'll elevate your bum on something to come to a tall and comfortable seat. When you're elevated, keeping the gaze soft, the eyes closed, notice if you need to adjust your seat at all, if you need to remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones. Notice if there's more weight in one hip versus the other. Notice if you can soften the shoulders, soften any tension around the mouth or the eyes. And then we'll just take 3 breaths. Again, every inhalation creates space, and every exhalation creates ease. I think it's interesting, the changes of this season really remind us of this. But the more that we can just breathe in with what is present and then breathe out with what is present, we can find both the space as well as the ease, the letting go that naturally happens as things change and evolve. And so as you're here for these last few breath cycles, I want you to intentionally think of what you're creating space for as you breathe in, and intentionally think of what you're letting go of as you breathe out. At the end of the next exhalation, guide your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press your palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your sternum to your thumbs. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your forehead. May your thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. Then draw your thumbs to your heart. May our hearts be open. The light and the breath within me honors and salutes the light and the breath within each of you. Namaste.